After 9 years of NDP Liberal government, taxes are up, costs are up, crime's up, time's up, and corruption is way up. Here's what we know so far. The Liberals stacked the SDTC board with their close friends. That board makes decisions as to which companies get grants worth millions in tax dollars. The Auditor General uncovered a massive scandal. These Liberal insiders funneled almost $400 million to their own companies. They got rich, taxpayers got the bill. Now the government's refusing to hand over the documents to the RCMP for a potential criminal investigation. So what have they got to hide?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, again, the House Leader for the Conservatives is completely false in what he is stating in this place. What is true is that the Conservatives have put forward a motion that would blur the lines between the independence of the legislative and judicial branches of government. It is both the RCMP and the Auditor General who have raised their extreme concern with what the Conservatives have put forward. Every Canadian should be concerned about the fact that the first instinct of Conservatives is to suspend the charter rights of Canadians.
The Honourable Member from Regina Capel.
The Charter is there to protect the people from the government, not to protect the government from accountability by the people. While millions of Canadians are suffering from higher taxes, higher prices, and doubled housing costs, all caused by this government, the Speaker has ordered that the House of Commons can deal with no other business until this corruption motion is dealt with, and they still won't hand over the documents, preferring that Parliament grind to a halt. While millions of Canadians are lining up for food banks, Liberal insiders are lining their own pockets. So when will the government hand over the documents, and when will the government get Canadians their tax dollars back?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, I think my honourable colleague's erratic and unhinged behaviour is because he knows that he is being completely false in what he is putting forward to this place. Mr. Speaker, what the Conservatives are putting forward is to trample the charter rights of Canadians, Mr. Speaker. Both the RCMP and the Auditor General have raised their extreme discomfort, and every single Canadian should be extremely alarmed by the behaviour of the Conservative members of Parliament who would put their own political interests ahead of the rights of Canadians.
I just want to remind all members to use language, make sure that it doesn't skate too close to the line. I made this point yesterday during question period as well when a question was asked from the other side. The Honourable Member from South Shore, St. Margaret's.
After 9 years of NDP Liberals, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, time is up, and conflict of interest is up at the Liberal Green Slush Fund. The Auditor General found that 82% of the transactions approved by Liberal insiders went to their own companies, totaling almost $400 million. This House demanded that the government turn over those documents to the RCMP, and this Prime Minister is refusing.
Shame. How
many more millions of misappropriated tax dollars is the Prime Minister hiding by refusing to turn over the documents?
Yes. The Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives don't want to share the uncomfortable truth that they are trying to use the extraordinary powers of this place to circumvent the judicial oversight that is required by the Charter of Rights and Freedoms to protect Canadians. The only thing they are interested in doing is pursuing their naked pursuit for partisan gain while they trample the charter rights of Canadians. Every Canadian citizen and resident should be extremely alarmed that instead of protecting their rights, they are looking for their own political gain. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member from Winnipeg Centre.
Mr. Speaker, since Orange Shirt Day, we've seen countless examples of residential school denialism, including from Conservative candidates in both New Brunswick and BC. And, Mr. Speaker, we know the leader of the Conservative Party supports this kind of rhetoric, having fundraised with residential school denying think tanks. Survivors have a right to be protected from hate speech. Will the government support my bill and protect survivors from residential school denialism once and for all?
The Honourable Minister for Crown Indigenous Relations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank my colleague from Winnipeg Centre for her work in bringing forward the bill that will recognize residential school denialism as a hate crime. I look forward to working with her, and we know that as we mark the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, this was a painful reminder that we need to do better to educate Canadians on the impacts of residential schools, as well as the hurtful acts of denialism that take place in many parts of the country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member from Skeena, Bulkley Valley.
Mr. Speaker, it's been 3 years since the tugboat in Janika sank, killing Troy Pearson and Charlie Craig. And it's been 2 years and 3 transport ministers since this government promised strengthened marine personnel regulations to protect workers like Troy and Charlie. And every single day, workers are going to sea without the protections that this government promised. So to the minister, how can she justify continued delays when workers' lives are on the line?
You're here.